Tough loss yesterday, obviously. I appreciate, our front office for the efforts that they gave this year, and the coaches and the players. Takes everybody, to get this far. There's one happy team at the end of the year, and that's the team that wins it all. So we're hoping to bring that back again to Kansas City, but it didn't work our way there. So, but I appreciate our fans for sticking with us. There were some tough times early in the season, and they just bear down and got better along with the football team, and I sure appreciate that. We did some good things throughout the year. Obviously, to get to this point that we got to, there were some real productive days on the field, and but again, just not enough in this particular game against Cincinnati. I wish them the best of luck. They were the better team yesterday, as it all worked out. So obviously, our second half wasn't good enough. We'll take it as a team. I take responsibility for that. I've heard some of the comments the guys made yesterday, and as the head football coach, as I mentioned yesterday after the game, that it's my responsibility that we do better. We didn't do that. So we'll spend the off season here getting things worked out, and whether it's the schemes or whether it's the roster, whatever it might be, we'll hit that evaluation period here coming up now. And I know Brett Veach stays on top of his game with that, and is aware of all the different things that take place in an off season with free agency, with your own team, and in the field, and in the draft. So again, right now things don't seem great because of the loss, but I think the future here is still bright, and so we look forward to moving on to the 2022 season and getting ourselves built back up after we take a step back here. Anyways, with that, time's yours.
Go first to Adam Teicher. Go ahead, Adam.
Hey, Andy. Thanks for everything this season, by the way.
Thanks, Adam.
Wanted to ask you a couple things. First of all, I understand that the line between winning and losing is very thin, and one or two plays different yesterday, and you're preparing for the Super Bowl. I get all that, but having said that, you guys aren't moving on to the Super Bowl this year. Do you feel like there was anything missing from this year's team that maybe you had the last couple of years, whatever that might be? And Brad, I'll have a second question as well.
Yeah, you know what, Adam? I thought we really stood a good chance. I mean, we started off like gangbusters, and even in this game, and we just let it get away from us. So, and I take responsibility for that part, Adam. So, you can always, as a play caller, you go back and you evaluate things, and so you look at, are you putting your guys in the best position possible? I know Spags, EB, Dave Tobe, they all go through that, and you want to make sure that you give your guys the best opportunity. So, there's no time like now that you question every call and every play. So, and if you're not hard on yourself about it, then you're not going to get better. And that's as a player and a coach. And so, we know there's certain spots we've got to do a better job. And it starts obviously with me being the head coach.
Okay. And, yesterday he played against a really good young quarterback who looks like he's going to be a thing for a while now. Last week you played against a good young quarterback who looks like he's going to be a thing for a while. Chargers maybe look like they have one of those guys too. Can you ever remember maybe a time where the league has had so many good young quarterbacks like maybe is going on right now? Championship caliber type quarterbacks?
Yeah, I've said it every week here, just that I think that's great for the National Football League. It's great for the AFC because we've got a lot of these guys in the AFC, and it creates great competition, and that's why we're in this. So, but the NFL, which is important to all of us, and stays at the top of all the games, different sports. You got to have that position. It's got to be strong, and I think we're sitting in a pretty good spot with all the good quarterbacks.
Let's go next to Herbie Teope. Go ahead, Herbie.
Hey, Coach, I want to echo Adam's gratitude. Appreciate you and
Thanks, sir.
your willingness and openness, especially during these challenging times. Two questions here for you. You mentioned the business side of football, as you get ready to shift into free agency mode. What was your message to a lot of these players? Because the roster will look different in 2022, potentially, during your exit interviews with them, whether they're coming back or your best wishes to them. And I'll have a second one after this.
Yeah, so Herbie, I've mentioned it throughout the season. I mean, there's no team that's the same the following year. So you enjoy the moments you have together as a team. And, we had a team that this year that was very close. They grew together. And whether the young guys or the old guys or the guys we brought in by the end of the year, I mean, these guys were as tight as anybody. So as far as the team goes. And, it's so talking to them today, they know. I mean, they've heard this. So it might be the last time you walk out the door. Maybe you're coming back. That's part of this business. But wherever you are, we support you. And if you're here, we support you. And if you're going somewhere else, we'll support you. So, that's how that goes in this profession.
And lastly, Coach, in-house with your coaching staff, you had mentioned as the season was getting ready to end that you expected EB to be a head coach somewhere. You lost Matt House. Do you anticipate or how much turnover do you anticipate with your coaching staff for 2022?
Yeah, well, you don't know today. I mean, as the day goes on, we might know, but I'm sure there'll be other guys that have opportunities. So it just, depends. Every year is a little different, but we'll just see how that goes as the next few days take place. I mean, not all the head coaches are hired in this league right now, so you don't know where all that's going.
We'll go next to Aaron Ladd. Go ahead, Aaron.
Hey, Coach, appreciate the time always. A couple things for you. Kind of echoing Adam on the first one. Do you feel like you could pinpoint any fatal flaws of this year's team? And I'll have a follow-up.
Yeah, well, I mean, we do that every week. We sit there, Aaron, and kind of hit on the different things, try to correct them as we go so that there's normally not one thing that lasts throughout the whole year. We normally try to head those off as quick as we can. So I wouldn't tell you there's one thing. We ended up not doing as well as we wanted to that second half of that game. First half, it was pretty good football. And second half, offensively, we didn't score any points, and defensively, we allowed them to score some points. So, that's not a good combination, especially in a playoff game like that.
And secondly, I think a lot of the discussion, especially when you have a quarterback like Patrick Mahomes, is going to be through the prism of his championship window. I'm curious, is that something that we're just kind of creating, or do you kind of feel that pressure when you have 15 to take advantage of these opportunities when you're in AFC title games?
Yeah. So, you surely want to take advantage of them. I'm not telling you you don't. But things happen and life presents you different problems. So you've got to persevere and then do a little bit more the next year. So get yourself even better the next year. So whether it's myself, my assistant coaches, whether it's the players, you learn from these experiences and you move forward.
Next to Pete Sweeney. Go ahead, Pete.
Hey, Coach. Kind of building off of Aaron's question there. I know that well the league is so much about quarterback development. In what tangible ways maybe you see Patrick take steps forward from last year and into this year as you went along?
Yeah, so I thought he was way more patient this year, only because he had to be with the different looks we were seeing. So I think this was a great year for him career-wise. I think he worked his way through maybe some obstacles and turned them into, just good football. And we're lucky to have him. And so everybody gets in a critical state when you go through a game like this, which is understandable. Then you back up a little bit and you realize that, what you need to take care of and that you're fortunate to have certain things. So that's human nature. So we're very lucky to have Patrick, and I'm glad he and Joe Burrow are like a couple months difference in age, and we don't think of it that way because Joe is new in the league and Patrick's been in for a while. So, but they're very close in age, and we're lucky to have them here.
Let's go next to Sam McDowell. Good, Sam.
Thanks, Brad. I'll have a follow-up as well. Andy, when you look at the contrast between the first and second half, and trying to figure out what worked in the first half and did in the second half, how much changed defensively in what you were seeing, and how much took you by surprise?
Yeah, listen, there wasn't much change. I came in and watched it obviously this morning, and there wasn't a whole lot of change that really took place. So that's where I mentioned that I've got to make sure I feed our guys the right things to get their job done. And I think Spags, he'd tell you, for the most part, it came down to just a handful of plays, and you got to make those on both sides of the ball.
You actually took my second one there too. Appreciate you, Andy.
Yep.
Let's go next to Sarin Petro. Good, Sarin.
Thank you. And Brad, I'll have a follow-up as well. I'm curious, was there a moment when the game's going on? I know you've got a lot of things going on, right? And when we've talked about that before, but is there a moment in that game where maybe you're in the second half where you felt like Pat was getting out of rhythm? Can you feel that kind of slipping away? Or is it with a guy like him, he just keeps firing because that's what he does?
Yeah, I'd probably tell you the second part of that, Sarin. I mean, with him, if every quarterback has a throw that doesn't go exactly where they want it to go, and for whatever reason, I mean, there are a bunch of things that go into that, and so you keep firing when you've got a great player. That's what you do, and so he works his way through all of that, and he has some good plays down the stretch. We didn't take advantage of the coin flip, and that could have been, here we have the coin flip. And I take responsibility for that.
And then just kind of housekeeping. It sounds like you're saying there's no thought of you stepping away just in this time of Tom Brady walking away, just to get you on the record on it. You will be back. You'll be the coach next year.
Yeah. I think so. That's the way I'm looking at it.
Let's go next to Vahe. Go ahead, Vahe.
Hey, Andy. Thanks for all, of course. A couple questions really kind of related to what you've been asked, but I wonder with Patrick, just to the naked eye, I know that a lot goes into every play, obviously, but it really did look kind of like two different quarterbacks first half and after halftime. And I wonder what the best way to account for that is. And then, Brad, I'll have a follow-up.
Yeah, listen, I've got to, one of my jobs is to make sure everybody's put in the right position to do things. And so, you can always do a better job with that. And, that's, if you feel like things aren't going your way as an offense, and then you kind of give them things that the guys can go out and perform better. And so when you look at these type of things, that's how you go about it. And each person does that, and they stick together, and hopefully you flip it around and you get some positive gains. But I'm not just sticking it on one person. I mean, this is a true team sport, and we all could do our jobs a little bit better.
And then the follow-up, Andy, is really just, it's probably too early to process this, but in a lot of ways, I think you saw, and we all saw, great strides and patience for Patrick this season. On the other hand, I guess you could say that's still a work in progress. But I wonder, Is there something you would say is the takeaway from his season? What he needs to focus on from here?
Yeah, listen, I think he was one half away from going to his third Super Bowl in a row. And that's pretty impressive. Hey, you've been around this a long time, and as a lot of us have, and that's pretty impressive. And most of these teams that are getting this far have good quarterbacks. I mean, that's just how it works, and we're fortunate to have him. And there's nobody looking at Pat Mahomes cross-eyed from our side, and I would anticipate our fans feel the same way.
We'll go next to Matt Derrick. Go ahead, Matt. Matt, you're still muted there. There you go.
There we go. Echoing some of the earlier thoughts, Coach, thanks for your time and patience as always throughout the season.
Thanks.
What is your kind of plan, for the immediate future? I know obviously you've got starting to work on the draft and the combine, and you've got free agency, but how will you kind of, take your time over the next few weeks and get going and everything?
Yeah. So, we've got our scheme evals coming up, our free agency and draft for preparation coming up. We kind of break the days up into half, but before we get too far into that, we'll take some time off. I'll take some time off. Decompress here just a little bit. It's been, it's a long season and all that goes with it. That ends very sudden, and we're all emotional about it. I mean, that's you can't help but feel that way. We thought we could advance and possibly win the whole thing. So it's disappointing. But on the other hand, it should be disappointing because if that happens, because you care so much. So you step back to take a step forward, and that's what we'll do as a staff. And then we'll get back into it. Brett Veach, he's got everything lined up for us as far as the combine goes, and the draft, and again free agency. So we'll jump right into it when we get back here.
So we've got 4 more. We'll go next to Nate Taylor. Go ahead, Nate.
Andy, thanks again for the time, as everyone has said.
Thank you.
With the end of the season, Coach, I actually have 3 quick questions to ask you. The first is just how much of a priority is it for you that Orlando Brown and Tyrann Mathieu are back next season?
I think you step back here. I mean, we love those guys. So you step back and you got to look at the big picture of things and how that goes. But, it's not, I'm not saying that. I just haven't got to that point. I mean, we're fresh out of this, and that's really not, that's Brett doing his deal too. So, but I haven't sat down with him and gone over anything. I mean, we just got done with this thing. So.
No, I appreciate that, Coach. You had mentioned EB earlier. If for whatever reason it doesn't work out, unfortunately, and he doesn't become a head coach, are you assured that Mike Kafka, that most of your coaching staff will remain intact as well?
Yeah, I don't know that. I mean, I don't know. I haven't sat down and talked to those guys yet, and so I will. I'll get to that. Right now, we're just the way this day goes. We've got all the exit physicals. We've got meetings with each player individually, coaches, assistant coaches, and head coach, and then I've got a team meeting with the players coming up here. So we've got a lot going on up to this point. So it's a busy day today.
Next to Todd Palmer. Go ahead, Todd.
And Brett, I'll have a follow-up if that's all right. One, Andy, are there things that crop up during the season that are difficult to address in season just because of the nature of, playing a game every week? And does that help you zero in on things that you want to prioritize this offseason?
Well, you also have the bye week in there. So, we sit back, we kind of do the same thing during the bye week where you go ahead and look at, you have a little bit more time to look at all the detailed things, although we do a pretty good job week in and week out with that. But yeah, sure. I mean, time can help clear some things up for you as you come out of the season. So we're going to look at everything. We turn everything over and look at it. So we don't hide much.
And then I know you'd rather be playing in the game in a couple of weeks here, but do you know, will you go to LA since it's your hometown for the game, or will you like host a Super Bowl party that we're all invited to, anything like that?
Yeah, I probably won't be at the game. That's for sure. But I know it's great for the city of Los Angeles, and they'll do a great job with it. And I'm hoping you have a great Super Bowl party. Yeah.
We'll go last to Robert Rimson. Go to Robert.
Hey, Coach. Thanks again for the time this year. But you've talked all year about parity in the league. The two number one seeds got knocked out of the playoffs this year. The Super Bowl champions knocked out. Obviously, you guys knocked out. Is this the most unpredictable season you've ever been a part of?
Well, I'll tell you, these playoff games have been the closest, as I recall, of any in the years past. So if that's an indication of parity, I would tell you yes. I felt that way during the season for sure. I don't have the stats sitting in front of me to tell me if it was the closest one ever. I know so many games are determined by 7 points or less in this league that it's ridiculous every year, and it's over half. So it's that tells you something there. But I don't know how close this one was to being having the most parity.
Coach, we appreciate the time. Thanks for joining us.
Okay, take care now. Thank you.